Hello everyone, Jilles Groskamp here from Team Infinity, and today in this video I want to talk about the Infinity IF18-2, and I want to talk about the ENS race, the first round of the year in Ettlingen, Germany. And yeah, it was a great race, a lot of drivers, totally 144 entries, and in the 1/8 class totally it's more than 100 drivers. So it's really great to see a lot of people come back to the races after the Corona time. And it's of course a huge competition at the ENS with all the big names attending. And yeah, I got second place on the end. In the final I just keep on going without any flames out or other problems. I think I had a good speed in the final, and yeah, in this video I want to show you a little bit my car, what I did throughout in practice, throughout the qualification, which changes I made on the car. So come and have a look. So here my car a little more close up, just some show you some details what I did. Yeah, I started with a fairly standard setup. As you can see, nothing really special. Yeah, the springs. Ran the SMJ spring. Started with 8.6 in front and I ended up with 8.0. Those felt the best, great steering. And also in the rear. I use the SMJ 5.0 because I started with 5.7, but with the 5.0 I had more steering and the car is more free in the rear. So therefore I use a 5.0 in the rear and 8.0 in the front. As you can see, the front upper knuckles is the plastic type, the hard plastic. For me it gives a little bit more steering than the aluminium ones, but that's I think also a personal preference. Yeah, of course we had little time at the ENS for practice. We had 6 runs of free practice and then already control practice, so yeah, you had to be very quickly with your setup. And during the qualification, actually, I went up with the shock tower. This is the standard shock tower on the front upper shock tower, and also the shock stay on the bottom is a standard one, which is inside. This gives for me the best steering, because in Ettlingen we needed steering. So this is all the way upper position, and this gave the most steering. Yeah, furthermore, 10mm service saver for the Ackerman, middle position, this position is back. Shocks, front is standard 1-hole 1.3mm piston with 550 Infinity oil. So the rear shocks setup, I went all the way down with the shock setup to give more rotation in the rear. And this helped a lot. So yeah, basically the front shocks are all the way up and the rear shocks all the way down. Rear up arm is quite long. It's actually in the narrow stay with the middle position with the pin, and the shim under the upright is 3mm. So that's the rear. I used the new aluminium spring collar. They work very nice, very smooth. Alright, now the rear roll bar is 2.8. It was a little bit of a compromise. I started with 2.7 and I tried 2.9, and I think 2.8 was the best. In the front I use 2.3 roll bar, and for me I always like this. Yeah, this is the best feel for me. I posted a picture earlier that some guys thought I missed a screw. I took them out just to get a little bit more front flex. And I think also increases steering. Yeah, furthermore, of course, the engine, the new engine, the SMJ Caputo, and it's a 7-port engine. It's based on the OS, the Euro spec, and the engine worked really flawless. It's completely standard, no tuning, and this had a very good bottom and also good speed. I use 6258 and 1924 with our clutch, of course, with a gap of 0.7. and I think this was really good. As you can see, these gears had the whole race. I didn't change the gear, and as long as you keep the pinions nicely without damage, also the spur gear remains super nice, so no wear there. Now looking to the chassis, I used the standard chassis, and you can see I used a brass weight to get a minimum weight of 2350. Because I use a lightweight battery, I choose to use the brass weight to have all the weight in the middle of the car. As you can see, I also use my own JG Racing servos. It's still in testing phase, but they're absolutely super nice. They're in between a low profile servo and a big servo, so you win a bit of weight on the right side, so actually the balance of the left-right is now very nice, very good. Front lower arm is a hard type, pretty standard. I use the aluminium suspension holder just to have it rigid and no flex there. Yeah, going to the rear, as you can see, maybe here, yes. I cut a little bit of the arm to make a shorter wheelbase. I did 1 millimeter. I didn't want to go 2 millimeter like some other driver would do that, but this at least gave a bit more steering, so that was nice. And maybe in the future I will try to run even more there, 2 millimeter. However, if you do that, you always have to keep in mind that also the rear upper arm, you have to cut the same amount of the millimeter away to have it straight in line, otherwise it will bind. So you cut 1 millimeter from the lower arm, you have to cut 1 millimeter from the upper arm. Alright, so that's my car setup of the ENS Round 1. And yeah, I felt really nice. I learned a lot this weekend. So I hope this is really helpful for you. And we're gonna improve the car even more, and I will come back if I have just more information and more tips for you. So that was a lot of details about my car, and yeah, I think this was a really nice start of the season. Car is very stable, very easy to drive, also fast. Body shell I used is the Extreme Hyper. You can see I very lowered the rear wing, just to try to get more top speed and also a bit more steering. I tested also the Super Diablo, it also worked really well. So at one point I was very in doubt which body I will use for the final. But yeah, I stick now with the Hyper, and yeah, again the body feels very good. Okay, this was my video about the first round of the ENS, and I showed you my car. I hope this was helpful for you, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Bye bye.